Today we've been talking about issues related to models in the cortex and cortical columns and learning models, and specifically how we take knowledge learned in one context and then apply it in new models. And sometimes we refer to that as like taking a model and dividing it into multiple pieces. An example we've talked about in the past is when you have a stapler, you might learn a model of the stapler, but you don't know it opens. And then when it opens, you start forming models of the two parts, and yet you don't have to relearn all the features of those two parts. So you're taking models, splitting apart. In the opposite direction is sometimes we build compositional models where you can take two known things and create a new model, but the new model has to be differentiable from other versions, but we don't want to relearn all the features again. So there's a sort of, how do we preserve previous knowledge when we're splitting models apart and creating new ones? And the basic idea we've discussed today, for the most part, is that we want to maintain reference frame anchorings, meaning if we're going to preserve knowledge, we can't re-anchor reference frames. And so the idea that variations of a particular model would all share the same reference frame anchoring points. So you might have different flavors of objects, all are basically using the same anchoring mechanism, the same reference frame. And then there would be variables which would tell you which flavor of that, which particular model in that reference frame anchoring you would use. And we deduce that this context that says which particular models you use would, at least in many cases, come from outside of the learning module, outside of the cortical column. It would be a context provided from elsewhere in the brain that says, under this context, we're using this class of object, or this context, we're using this flavor of the object. That's the basic idea we talked, and there's a lot of issues associated with it, and we didn't resolve most of those issues yet, but I think we reached common understanding, at least on the language, some of it.